It was a moment that gripped the nation. Under the fluorescent lights of Parliament in Cape Town, tension filled the air as lawmakers gathered for one of the most anticipated hearings in recent memory. At the center of it all stood KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, a man known for his integrity, discipline, and no-nonsense approach to policing. This time, however, Mkhwanazi was not leading an operation or addressing crime statistics. He was facing Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee, summoned once more to testify about explosive allegations that had already shaken the corridors of power. The committee room was silent as the proceedings began. Before Mkhwanazi could even take a seat, whispers filled the chamber, whispers about the withdrawn allegation that had electrified South Africa only weeks earlier, the claim that former Police Minister Bheki Cele had allegedly received cash from controversial businessman Vusimuzi, Matlala, a man whose name has become synonymous with influence, corruption, and power. It was a claim that Mkhwanazi had made, and later retracted, but the shadow of that statement still lingered like smoke after a fire. The Ad Hoc Committee had reconvened to get answers. Their mission was clear: to piece together a tangled web of allegations, counterclaims, and political intrigue that had left the public questioning who they could trust. And now, as part of a growing list of high-profile witnesses, Mkhwanazi, Brown Mogotsi, and forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan were all being called to the stand. Each one held a piece of the puzzle, a puzzle that, when complete, could expose one of the most complex intersections between politics, policing, and organized influence in modern South Africa. For context, this story begins months ago when the Matlala Commission of Inquiry unearthed disturbing evidence of corruption within law enforcement ranks. Names like Matlala and General Shadrach Sibiya had already made headlines, accused of involvement in a web of financial transactions and protection deals that blurred the lines between business and crime. It was within this climate of exposure and suspicion that Mkhwanazi's voice first cut through, bold, unflinching, and direct. In his initial testimony, Mkhwanazi claimed that Bheki Cele, one of South Africa's most prominent political figures and former Minister of Police, had been financially linked to Matlala. The allegation sent shockwaves through Parliament, drawing attention from both political allies and critics. But soon after, Mkhwanazi stunned observers by withdrawing the claim, saying that he had been misinformed. Still, the damage was done. The question now haunting the committee was simple: why would such a decorated police chief make a claim of that magnitude, only to retreat? As Parliament prepared for his return, anticipation grew. Some saw Mkhwanazi's reappearance as a chance to clarify the truth. Others saw it as a reckoning. Either way, it was clear the inquiry was not just about one statement. It was about a broader culture of power, secrecy, and accountability in South Africa's police service. Meanwhile, the committee also summoned Brown Mogotsi, a businessman whose name had quietly surfaced in related investigations. Lawmakers described him as a priority witness, hinting that his testimony could connect more dots in this sprawling case. Then came the announcement that Paul O'Sullivan, the country's most prominent forensic investigator, would also testify. Known for exposing corruption at the highest levels, O'Sullivan's presence immediately raised expectations that more revelations could follow. The tension between Mkhwanazi and Cele adds another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. Both men have built reputations in the fight against crime, one from within the police force, the other from the political arena. But their relationship has long been fraught with strain, dating back to internal disagreements within SAP's leadership. Now, with Mkhwanazi set to face cross-examination, the stakes couldn't be higher. Observers believe that this moment could either restore Mkhwanazi's reputation as a fearless reformer or damage it permanently if contradictions emerge. Parliament's committee chair has already warned that no witness will be spared and that all statements will be tested under scrutiny. For the public, this signals hope, a hope that perhaps, finally, South Africa will see a display of transparency in a system too often clouded by political deals. Behind closed doors, insiders whisper that more names could still surface. The inclusion of Brown Mogotsi hints that Parliament's committee may be digging deeper into the alleged financial links between law enforcement officials and private business figures. Meanwhile, O'Sullivan's testimony is expected to focus on forensic findings that may corroborate or contradict Mkhwanazi's earlier claims. Did you expect this twist, that a police commissioner would publicly challenge a former minister, only to take his words back? How would your community respond if such allegations surfaced about your local leaders? And most importantly, do you believe that justice in South Africa is truly blind to power? The implications of this inquiry stretch far beyond the walls of Parliament. For ordinary citizens, it raises painful questions about who to trust in a country still grappling with corruption scandals. If the nation's top police officials are entangled in political games, how can the average person feel protected or believe in the justice system meant to defend them? Political analysts warn that the outcome of this inquiry could shape the future of SAP's leadership. Should Mkhwanazi be vindicated, he could emerge as a symbol of truth and courage in the fight against internal corruption. But if the committee finds inconsistencies or evidence that he acted on rumor rather than fact, his credibility, and by extension, public faith in SAPs, could collapse. Meanwhile, Bheki Cele has kept his response measured but firm. He has denied any wrongdoing, calling the allegations baseless and damaging. His supporters argue that the timing of Mkhwanazi's initial statement was politically motivated, while his detractors say his calm demeanor masks deeper issues. Either way, the committee's findings will determine whether this controversy ends with clarification or escalation. In the coming week, when Mkhwanazi returns to the witness stand, all eyes will be on him. Will he stand by his original claims, or will he double down on his withdrawal? Will new evidence emerge from Paul O'Sullivan's forensic team that changes the narrative entirely? The answers to these questions could define the next chapter of South Africa's policing story. The Ad Hoc Committee is set to resume next week, and anticipation is mounting. Each session promises new revelations, new testimony, and new questions about how far corruption and influence have penetrated the justice system. South Africans are watching closely, not because they enjoy the spectacle, but because what's at stake is the very soul of accountability. This is more than just a story about politicians and police chiefs. It's a story about trust, truth, and the painful process of reform. The journey toward justice is often messy, but it's one the country cannot afford to abandon. If this story moved you, make sure to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more real, unfiltered stories that shine a light on truth and power in South Africa.